Welcome to the Making Love podcast with Tish and Pastor Roy. This is where love gets real, faith leads the way, and marriage becomes something you actually enjoy. We're talking laughter, connection, and the kind of conversations that challenge what you thought you knew while giving you practical, faith-filled ways to make something that lasts. Whether you're married, dating, or just curious, this is your time to grow together, have fun, and create a relationship rooted in friendship, purpose, and connection. Because when love is made, it doesn't just last, it gets better every day.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to the Making Love podcast with Tish and Pastor Roy. Today, we're going to do part 2 of developing your marital language. And Tish wants to dive right back in to the different types of language and communication that you have in marriage. So let's go right for it.
Yeah, when we finished last time, you were talking about how we have a ministry language, and just really helping people to understand that when we say ministry language, it's really about how you serve your spouse. And even, when people hear that, people think, ooh, serve, that sounds, well, this is the thing. If you're not serving your spouse, the likelihood is you're probably hurting your spouse. And there's an opportunity for us to really kind of redefine where that has come from, which kind of takes us into what we were going to talk about as well, as far as like relearning our parents' marital language, because
or unlearning
unlearning our parents' marital language. And this is the thing, it's not to say that your parent language was bad, because some of you all are going, yep, we have to unlearn that. And some of you might think mine, was pretty good. I would dare say our children have a fairly decent example to follow, but at the same time, they're not us.
Correct.
And they need to create what works for them. And so we have a son that just got married. Obviously, we have older boys who've been in relationships for a long time. What would you say to them as it pertains to even unlearning what they may have seen so that they can create what works for them? And then we'll talk about our own experiences.
I would say, don't use my language, use my process.
Ooh.
So the process I went through to learn the right language for my marriage, that's what you take with you.
Mm-hmm.
But don't take my language with you.
Yeah.
Because you're not marrying my wife.
That's so good.
And so take with you the investment in time and intentionality to understand their love map.
Yeah.
Where are they coming from? Why certain words speak certain things to them, so that you can develop the right language for your marriage.
Yeah.
Take that process with you.
Right. And what's interesting is I love how you said that, because I literally am thinking about the different boys and their relationships. And I think about some of them who have partners who are more sensitive than others.
Yeah.
For instance, in areas that things wouldn't bother me at all would probably bother them.
Yep.
And so we may think, well, I'm going to say this just like my mom or my dad did. Don't do that, because the person that you're with is not that person, and they may take it the wrong way, or they may read something into it that you hadn't really anticipated. And so you have to develop your household marital relationship, right? Your marital language that actually works for your marriage. So what about unlearning your parents' marital language? What would you say about that?
I would say it is both necessary and challenging, because it's what you heard your whole childhood.
Yeah.
If you heard them bickering, it's just in there that you want to bicker.
Yep.
And so you really have to learn how to unlearn what you've been hearing. And honestly, you have to be intentional, but it will take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
For you to, and so you have to be able to give grace to people to unlearn certain things.
Yeah.
Because you got to unlearn it yourself. So you got to give grace. And you have to understand that sometimes people are just going to mess up.
True.
And so that's the kind of thing. I love this story our bishop used to always tell about when he first got married.
Yeah.
And he was having a challenging moment with his wife, and he was like, "Well, this is my house. You can get out of my house," because that's what he heard his stepfather say all the time.
She was like, "Peace."
Yeah. But her map was, "Oh, I don't have to put up with this. I'm gone." Right. And she headed straight for the door.
She was a captain in the army. She was like, "I have my own money. I got my own car. Right. I don't need any of this."
And he instantaneously was like, "No, that's the wrong language.
Come back.
That's not what I mean."
Yeah.
But that's literally what has to happen.
Yeah.
Is you got to be able to identify, where did that phrase come from? That phrase came from my mom. That phrase came from my dad. Yeah. Is it working? No, it's not working. Okay, we gotta lock that out. Yeah. We have to figure out how do I say what I need to say in order to communicate properly with my spouse. And it just takes intent and it takes time.
Yeah. I mean, we joke a lot about the fact that I am an introvert, no doubt. But I also realized some of those habits and tendencies I saw in my dad. Because, my dad, he'd be a party animal until he was tired. And then he would get up
and go to bed,
walk out of a party that he invited everybody to and just leave. Yeah. And you'd find him in his bedroom, either fully asleep or watching, old Gunsmoke or something, you know what I mean? Some old Western. And I realized that there's that part of me, I'm like, ooh, I'm excited. And I'm like, you know what? I'm over this. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go shut down or whatever. Yeah. And so some of that relationship, or some of that communication rather, fully came from, what I saw in my household. And unfortunately, I saw, my mom having to feel like she had to fill in and overcompensate for what my dad started and then left for her to clean up, if you will. Yeah. And so there's a little bit of both of those that I think that I've brought in, we're definitely, I'm a host. I do love hosting. Yeah. But I also love being able for people to go home, right?
Yes. Love that.
And so there's a little bit of both of those that have rubbed off. The thing that I think I have had to relearn, among many things, of course, but the thing that really stands out is not so much the words spoken, it's the silence.
Yeah.
It's the silence, because as much as I loved watching my parents, almost 50 years of marriage before my dad passed, I saw them have lots of silences. They were very boisterous and gregarious when they had friends in the room. But when they were by themselves, I didn't see them talk a whole lot.
Right.
And so, there's definitely a part of me that has to kind of create, let me say something almost, because I'm so used to just kind of going into my own head or thinking about other things, or me, I'm like planning a business strategy instead of engaging, because that's something that I saw for a really long time.
Absolutely. And I'm the same way in terms of remembering we have to communicate. We got to connect. Mm-hmm. And I have to make certain adjustments in what feels normal, natural for me to be doing in order to make space for that connection.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have learned is, for there to be a comfortable silence requires marital maturity.
Ooh, yes.
Because when your marriage is immature, silence begins to convey discord.
So true. So true. Yeah.
Because the person's mind just takes the silence and starts thinking, this must be wrong, that must be wrong. Mm-hmm. What did I do? What did they do?
Yeah.
And so silence just conveys discord.
Right.
But when you have been married and your marriage has matured, the silence does what silence should do. It says nothing.
It does, exactly. Yeah, and I think that some of the things that we've kind of instituted in our relationship, because it's who we are. So I'm going to be watching the Food Network. I'm going to be watching HGTV or something akin to that, or maybe a love story or something. And then you're going to be watching somebody getting blown up, something getting shot, or somebody flying through space. And, those are things that we do separately, but we've learned how to, in some cases, do them together. So I might be watching the TV and you might have your iPad and but we're still in the same room.
Yeah.
And that's
and we can still reach out and do this.
Exactly.
And touch, because touch is communication.
It is, definitely.
And I will say this, touch is a language that far too many people misunderstand.
Right.
And they don't know how to properly communicate just with touch.
Yeah, very, very true.
And that's something that we really, really, really have to hit on, and people really need to investigate. Because I remember when we first got married, my whole thing was this light.
Yeah, and I'd be like,
and then drove her crazy.
I'm like, stop doing that.
I thought, hey, I'm being romantic. I'm being gentle.
I'm like, that's icky. It makes me all. I don't love it.
Yeah. So I had to learn the right way to touch that makes her feel what the emotion I wanted to elicit.
Yeah.
And so proximity allows for that type of communication.
It does, without a doubt.
Without you actually using words. Because when we talk to people in a marriage counseling setting, we always encourage people, use your words. But it is a natural part of human nature to have nonverbal communication.
It is.
So you have to learn to master it.
Yeah.
Right? And so touch is vital. Touch is critical, because just because I am upset about a situation or about something you said, it doesn't mean I don't want to touch you
for real
in the right way.
Yeah.
And so while I might not want to say anything to you, I'm still going to touch you and let you know, hey, we're still connected.
Right. And I think it's important to highlight the fact that, and it could be either based on the relationship and the choice and the environment or the atmosphere that's been created, but it might need to be non-sexual touch,
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It just needs to be, I'm here, I love you. We may have an issue around a specific topic, but you and I are still connected, right? And in some cases, it is, depending on what's happening in that particular scenario. But at the end of the day, touch is a language in and of itself.
Yes.
And if people don't do it, they're missing the opportunity to remain closely connected, and that oxytocin that's built up as a result of it, that really makes you feel closer to someone, even when words are not necessarily being used.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like that's so vital, that we understand how to communicate, even non-verbally.
Right.
Because as people, we're going to look for and pick up on body language.
No doubt.
And so you need to know, well, what is my body saying?
Yeah.
We talked about it before, how you're telling your spouse, I want to be here with you, I want to support you. But when they look at you, your arms are crossed and you're looking sad and or you're checking your phone all the time.
Yeah. So
your words are saying, I support you, I'm here for you, I want to be with you. But your body is saying, I want to be anywhere else. And so now they feel like they're being gaslit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, am I crazy, or does this person really want to get out of here?
Yeah.
Even though they keep saying they hear from me, but they look like, and so we have to learn how to properly communicate. If you committed to doing something you don't want to do in order to support your spouse, then doggone it, you better look like you want to be there doing it.
For sure. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with having a conversation around the fact that, this isn't my thing. I love you and I want you to go and enjoy yourself. This is not my thing. I'm not going to see Star Wars with you. I'm just not doing it. The Mandalorian, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, not doing that.
I'm not inviting you.
I'm not doing it. Not having it. And I'm going to see The Devil Wears Prada 2 all by myself. And that's okay.
Amen.
But the conversation must be had so that it's not I'm not sitting in the movie theater going, well, shoot, he didn't want to come. Why what did I do? What's wrong? We're having this conversation all by ourselves instead of having it with our spouse and giving each other permission to be fully themselves. That's probably the biggest gift you've given me in our 30 years of marriage, is the permission to be fully me all the time.
But that's what marriage is. It's two people creating an atmosphere where you can be yourself and nobody's going to judge you for it.
Yeah. Yeah. What about, because this is something, thank God I've not had it in many years. Now, I'm not going to say I've never had it, because we both know that when we started, we were still learning this whole thing.
Yeah.
But, for many, many years, I've not ever felt like I would walk into our house and have to walk on eggshells and be very, careful with what I said or didn't say or did not do. What would you say to the person who feels like, well, I want to have this conversation, but if I bring it up, it's going to create a problem. It's going to create a fight. I always feel like I'm walking on eggshells. Now, mind you, we're not touting ourselves to be marriage counselors. However, we get a chance to do marriage ministry on a regular basis. And so, just based on our experience, the people we've talked to and what we've had in the 30 years of our relationship, what would you say to that person?
I would tell that person, and obviously it depends on the severity of the topic.
Yeah.
But I would tell that person, if you feel like you're walking on eggshells, then just go ahead and walk on them. Because if this is that important that you need this, you feel like you need this, then you need to have the conversation.
Yeah.
And if the first time you have the conversation, it becomes a little adversarial, then pull back and then come at it again.
Right.
Until you both learn how to have the talk that you need to have to make the progress you need to have made.
Yeah.
But you can't shy away from what you need because you're afraid of somebody getting upset, or you're afraid of, cracking some eggs while you're walking.
Yeah.
You have to be able to have those conversations. And I know you and I, when we first got married, there were all kinds of things you didn't want to tell me because you were afraid of how I would react. And I had to learn to grow up and not react that way.
Yeah.
So that you felt comfortable saying what you needed to say. And the same was true of me. There were things that I was dealing with that I was afraid to tell you about. And so I had to learn.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's it's a part of life.
It definitely
It really is a part of life.
Yeah.
If you're going to eat omelets, you're going to break some eggs.
Yeah, no doubt.
Unless you want the kind that come in a carton, the eggs, the fake eggs that come in a carton.
Right. I mean, I think it's also important to really do a quick, an important inventory and make sure that it's not more about your feelings than it is about the marriage. Because frequently we'll say, well, I don't want to upset them. But in all honesty, I don't want to have the confrontation because I don't like how it makes me feel. Opposed to, this is what needs to happen for us to get from where we are to where we really need to be in this marriage. And so I'm willing to sacrifice this moment for us to have an everlasting, a long-lasting relationship. But frequently it's more about me than it is about us.
Right. And to that point, sometimes people don't want to have certain conversations and they say, I just don't want to hurt them. Really, you don't want to deal with them when they're hurt.
You don't. Absolutely.
But you need to say what you need to say.
Yeah.
And then just be there for them and support them as they deal with it.
Right.
But I agree with you. A lot of the times we don't want to say stuff because of us, not really because of them. Not at all. And I think that it's also an exercise in learning how to say what you need in a conversation. Right. So, I think it definitely took us years to be able to say things like, when you say this, it makes me feel this. Right. Without triggering a defense mechanism in the other person. Right. Yeah. And, it requires us to grow so that defense mechanism is not always on, like ready to be flipped. Exactly. Because we're waiting for that one thing to be said. I think one of the most
mature things that I believe God has given me to do. And I do it obviously in private. I don't have to say that I'm saying this to you, but there's times where God is like, I want you to ask yourself, how could you communicate that better? How can you communicate that differently? How can you communicate it in his language, not in yours? And that in and of itself has been so powerful because it enables me to take a moment before I say anything to you anyway.
Right.
And so what I would have said is completely translated into something that's much more palatable for you by the time you hear it.
Right.
We told the story a while back around the couple that we, got a chance to observe that they were missionaries and, just got some really great counsel from them when we first got married. And that has always lived in my mind. I encourage you to go back and look at some of our first episodes to hear that story about, Ron and Bernadette. But they imparted something in me just as a reminder that, do I want to be right in this moment? Or do I want to have a lasting, happy, joyful, relationship that I can really enjoy?
Right.
Because many times we choose to be right in this moment and be left behind because we've chosen that this is so important. I'm going to literally put a flag in the ground around this one thing instead of deciding how can I make this a more productive conversation opposed to me just getting something off my chest.
Right. And I think the flip side to that is let me just let my spouse vent and I'll just be here.
Yeah.
Without giving them solutions or without telling them they're being immature and silly.
Yeah.
I'm just letting them vent a little.
Yeah.
In a safe space.
Right.
Where nobody's gonna find out about it. Nobody's gonna get a text message.
Yeah.
There won't be a Facebook post after.
Yeah.
And so they can hit the release valve a little bit, and then be able to move forward, and we can move forward together.
Yeah.
Part of marital communication is an element of intimacy and safety.
Yes. Oof.
It needs to be safe for me to say certain things, how I feel. Even I'm not going to act on them, but I just need that release valve so I can say it, hear it, realize, you know what, no, and have that person that's not going to judge me for it.
Right. The thing that we decided together, and I'm so grateful for, we said early in our relationship that we are always going to have peace in our house.
Yes.
And we have kept that.
Yes.
I don't care what happens outside. This needs to be a sanctuary. This needs to be a place where we can be at peace with each other. We can have the safety of being fully ourselves, and communicating in a way that doesn't always feel like a trigger, doesn't always feel like, again, someone has to walk on eggshells. And I think that's a powerful decision for any couple to make. It's like, whatever it takes, decide that you're going to create a place of peace, not only in your physical abode in your house, but in your relationship, because there has to be a place of safety. There has to be a place where I may have to consider this or walk on eggshells with many other people, but with this person, I get to be me all day, every day. And so with that, I really invite you to take the time necessary, as we said last week, develop your marital language, examine it, and if it means that you have to redefine, recreate it together, then do that, because your marriage absolutely rests on the way that you communicate or don't. So we will see you back next week on the Making Love podcast with Tish and Pastor Roy. And we just appreciate you being with us today. Talk to you next time.
As we wrap up today's conversation, remember, marriage isn't just about getting through life together. It's about truly knowing, supporting, and enjoying one another along the way. When you create your relationship on faith, true friendship and intention, love becomes something that grows stronger every day. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who means the world to you, and keep leaning into the kind of love that lasts. We'll see you next time in Love Podcast with Tish and Pastor Roy.